Holy Grail is one of the most talked about archaeological pieces in the world, partly for its enigmatic content. From archaeologists to writers to amateurs, everyone wants to find the famous chalice that was used by Jesus Christ, according to legends, at the Last Supper that he shared with his disciples. For centuries, different chalices have appeared that have been considered by many as authentic and famous cup from which Jesus drank at the Last Supper. However, most of them were rejected by the Church, without clarifying which of them may be the authentic chalice.
When we talk about the Holy Grail, most of us can to mind the image of Jesus Christ sitting at the table with his disciples. However, that image could actually remain and inserted as a further fact of history reason that, to say true, we do not really know if they existed or not. The question would be, why?
Infinity of legends were interwoven on this chalice from which its supernatural attributions emerged. Inspiration for many authors and cinematographers, from the legendary film by Steven Spielberg, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, to the book The Da Vinci Code by author Dan Brown, and all of them highlights that there's supernatural power emanating from the cup. It is for this reason, in part, that the Holy Grail has launched in its search thousands of archaeologists and passionate about the legendary treasure that, in one way or another, have left their mark on our past history. Your search has become an exciting adventure, of which you want to be a part. Why was the cup in which Jesus Christ drank at the Last Supper preserved with so much devotion and instead was not made with any other of the items that were available at the table? What motivated the person who took the cup to protect it, as it had contained some hidden power? Could that cup really have supernatural powers, as Steven Spielberg pointed out in his movie? Perhaps of all these questions, the one that should interest us more is whether we really know for sure today what material the cup was made of.
Very strange to think that in the year 33, Jesus Christ, known as a humble person, had to use a golden cup rather than a Swiss material at the Last Supper, when it would have been normal to drink in a wooden cup or in a ceramic bowl. Precisely, that is the truth of our study.
A difficult enigma to solve, which in recent times has put many researchers on the warpath who maintain the legitimate proximity of some chalices and the materials of which each of them were made.
In order to speak about the importance of an object like the one that the Holy Grail has acquired, it is necessary to be connoisseurs in depth of the era in which it was created, for which we have the text and archaeological remains that have come to us. We are going to focus on archaeological data that, thanks to the evolution of science, can pay us a little further. However, improbable it may seem.
Archaeology is the channel of connection with that source of knowledge that can bring us closer to the past truth. technology, combined with the vestiges of the past, on many occasions offer us irrefutable answers about that history that worries and interests us so.
Despite being many cults throughout history that have wanted to establish themselves as the true Holy Grail, thanks to the Capon 14 test, actually we know that this position is relegated to a few. Today, we will talk about those that have gained the most strength throughout history and how that same history has been responsible for dismantling of the legends that circulated around some of them. I refer especially to the Nantes Cup.
The Nantes Cup is a small olive wood cup of 10 by 8.5 centimeters, which was among us until 1956, thanks to the conservation carried out in Wales, England, by the Powell family in their Nantes mansion, of which the cup inherited the name. If we go back to the time of Jesus Christ, according to legend, Jesus, after his resurrection, gave the chalice to Joseph of Arimathea, who went with him to England, specifically to Glastonbury, where an abbey was built, a place that for many was the cradle of Christianity in England. It should be noted that for a long time the history of some 13th century monks who claimed to have found King Arthur's tomb in Glastonbury was believed, although over the years it was discovered that everything was a farce, probably linked to a need to attract the faithful. Taking into account that there are no archaeological vestiges that demonstrate the existence of the figure of King Arthur, we have to base its existence on literary sources, in which, due to its late publication with respect to the time in which it was, it assumes that King Arthur lived in the 6th century. They leave most researchers as reasonable doubt about its veracity. If we let ourselves be carried away by the legends that have come down to us about this character, it could be said that King Arthur was one of the great seekers of the famous Holy Grail, but not even he, or all the magic that surrounds his figure, was able to locate it. For what reason? Being close in the time of the Holy Grail, King Arthur did not find it. Did King Arthur really exist, or is he only part of that romantic legend that also embraces the Holy Grail at times? It is said that the monks of Glastonbury Abbey hid and protected the cup until Henry VIII, after being excommunicated by Pope Clement VII and availing himself of the law of supremacy, proclaiming himself head of the English Church, dedicated himself to dismantling the Catholic monasteries. The monks who guarded the chalice fled in 1539 and took refuge in the Powell mansion. After the monks died, the owner of the mansion was left with the chalice, and after being exhibited at an exhibition at the University of Wales, the legend began to circulate that the cup was healing. From that moment on, the cup was exhibited on many occasions. The faithful drank from it and bit it, thinking that the miracle would work faster. For this reason, the cup deteriorated so much. In 2014, while the person in her possession was in the hospital, someone entered the mansion and stole the cup. Fortunately, it was returned in June 2015 and is currently owned by Major Marylees and is under the protection of the National Library of Wales.
Despite the great devotion of the English, many of them firmly believing that they were the holders of the cup Jesus left supper, science had discarded that belief. Based on common 14 tests, it has been concluded that the cup was manufactured in the 14th century, about 1,400 years after the death of Jesus Christ. Many researchers have ruled out that it was the cup where Jesus drank because of the material of which it is made. And it is something very easy to explain, simply because the Jews didn't drink from wooden cup because they considered this material impure.
If that cup cannot be the Holy Grail, based on the date of manufacture, as the tests carried out show, why did the last living monk give the Powell family the cup, assuring that it was the one that José de Arimatea had given him? Could it once again be a conscientious deception to secure the foundations of the Church? Malcolm Godwin, in his work The Holy Grail, Origin, Meaning and Relations of a Legend, alludes to that imperious need of the religion to attract in its ranks a maximum of the faithful, attracting them with incentives, sacred and miraculous relics that woke up, especially among the most disadvantaged, an incipient need to approach that religion. What if it were just that? A simple collective manipulation to guarantee absolute control over the weakest masses.
Throughout history, it has been shown that people generally attacked by their own fears and able to face reality without threatening it, prefer to be carried away by those stories that some offer as the eternal salvation of the soul. The key to everything was with the appearance of God and the devil. From that, people tried to channel their fears, primal and interested in the human being, through the teaching that the religious begin to spread.
What if everything was a chimera? What if there had not been that history that they have transmitted to us from generation to generation, especially the Church?
Recently, the news has come to light that in Turkey, in the Ethnographic Museum of Ankara, there is a Bible that is 1500 years old, almost as old as the oldest Bible that we know. However, in this new Bible, which is found in the year 2000 and immediately kept secret, it contains the Gospel of Barnabas, a disciple of Christ, who said that Jesus Christ was not crucified, nor was he the Son of God, but a prophet. In this unique way, this discovery could checkmate the church and could even damage the pillars on which it has been based for centuries.
The book was written in golden letters on leather in the language of Jesus Christ, the Aramaic. The content is directed towards a vision similar to Islam and therefore opposed to the teachings of New Testament Christianity. Jesus also foresees the coming of the Prophet Muhammad, who would found Islam 700 years later. Given this, there is the question of whether the Catholic Church deliberately omitted, for the sake of its interests, the Gospel of Barnabas, as well as many others from the rest of the Gospels that make up the Bible as we know it today, while they are only pointed out the four canonical Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Given that the Vatican does not have this concept about this new appearance, the question would be, why? They didn't hide or manipulate anything. Why should they be concerned? Let's not forget that the Bible does not mention the Holy Grail, nor is it mentioned in any of the apocryphal texts. The cup is only mentioned in the Gospel of Matthew in reference to the Last Supper. There are already many defenders and detractors who are putting their points on the table to make their way in the dismantling of the found establishment of the content of the book. Now, we also ask ourselves some question. Is this content real, or perhaps it could be a trick of the foreign followers of Islam to attack the foundations of Christianity?
In Spain, since immemorial time, there has been a deep rivalry between two of those chalices that claim to be the true Grail. We refer to the Doña Urraca chalice, preserved since the 11th century in the Basilica of San Isidoro de León, and the Valencia chalice. According to some historians, based on their studies and following the trail of information that has reached them through some Egyptian scrolls that would indicate that the Holy Grail was sent to the King of León, Ferdinand the Great, or the Magno in the 11th century, and after having been looted from the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, in which he was hiding. The historian Mar Reybueno tells us about a magical triangle in which the Holy Grail would be hidden, and that according to her would make up San Pantaleón de Losa, San Lorenzo de Vallejo de Mena, and Santa María de Siones. The church of San Pantaleón de Losa, located on a rock watchtower in the shape of a bow, with the Sierra Salvada in the background, was built at the end of the 12th century, where the most striking thing would be located in its portico, in which an Atlantean is staged holding in his hands what could be a bag. Alongside that figure is a snake and a sinister variety of fantastic animals. This insinuating iconography has led many researchers to think about the possibility that these places are related to the Order of the Temple, the great custody of the Holy Grail, and that therefore that chalice had been hidden there. If we go back to the time of the Crusades, 1099, the year in which the Crusaders traveled to Jerusalem, looking among other relics for the glass where Jesus Christ drank at the Last Supper. However, when they arrived, they did not find anything, as it had been taken from Jerusalem and taken to Egypt, where the Muslims protected it, by the Fatimids led by Sultan al-Mustansir. Ali ben Mujahid, known as Ali the King of Denia, sent a ship full of food to Egypt, listening to the desperate request for help from the Fatimids, who were suffering a terrible famine. These, in gratitude, returned the favor by sending juicy treasures, in which the famous and coveted Holy Grail could have been. Ali, the King of Denia, gave the Holy Grail to Fernando el Grande for political reasons, and his daughter, Doña Urraca, donated her jewels to decorate the goldsmith's work that covers the glass. According to some written documents from the 14th century found, the Sultan of Egypt, known as Saladin, when his daughter became seriously ill and knowing the healing power of the glass, got the governor of Egypt to give him the fragment that an ancestor of this governor had torn off with his knife of the glass. Saladin's daughter is miraculously healed by coming into contact with this shard of the glass. The Leon vase is made of a semi-precious stone known by the name of onyx, which corresponds to Roman ceramic widely used in the 1st century. Doña Urraca's chalice is made up of 2 onyx bowls, one that occupies the upper area and the other the foot area. The onyx pieces are covered with gold in the cup, knob and base, exposing part of the cup and almost the entire base. The inside of the cup is also clad in finely worked gold, achieving elaborate filigree, leaving room for the inlay of pearls, emeralds, amethysts and sapphires. On the base and before the knot, there is an inscription that says, In nomine Domini Urraca Ferdinandi. Today we know, after the study that was carried out on this chalice, dismantling and dispossessing the stone vase of all its goldsmith decoration, that this vase has an area in which a fragment is missing.
If we allow ourselves to be seduced by this coincidence adjusting to the documents found, we could possibly easily embrace the idea that the chalice of Doña Urraca is the Holy Grail, the cup of Jesus Christ. However, except for those found writings from the 14th century, we do not have any irrefutable and indisputable proof that it is the authentic Holy Grail. What is undeniable is that the chalice of Doña Urraca has quite a few followers who place this cup in the position of the Holy Grail. We only have the same doubt. Is it the real Holy Grail? Today we have moved to the Cathedral of Valencia, where the chalice that many researchers strive to consider as the Holy Grail, the cup in which Jesus drank and the Last Supper, is protected. Unfortunately, due to the current state due to COVID, our team will not be able to visit inside it, as was our intention. As you all know, between those walls that I held behind me, one of the most valuable and famous pieces of our history is hidden. The question is it really protecting the Holy Grail, or is it simply a cup with many centuries of history?
The Holy Grail of Valencia is a glass composed of 3 well-differentiated parts. Upper cup carved in stone that, due to its similarity of characteristics, could be agate or sardius stone, as indicated in her thesis by Ana Maria Garcia, doctor in art history, possibly made in the Hellenistic Roman workshop in the 1st or 2nd century after Christ. The central part is from the 15th century, made in gold with a niello technique and set with stones. And the last part, the base carved in stone between the 8th and 9th century. The Holy Grail of Valencia has a notable place on the pyramid scale to achieve the first place that would certify that it is the true Holy Grail. Even the church itself, despite not having recognized it yet, has its sights set on it. Proof of this was the study carried out in the 1950s by Professor Antonio Beltrán Martínez, in response to the request of the Archbishop of Valencia, Marcelino Olaikea. In fact, There are many characteristics of the Valencia chalice that correspond to the peculiarities of the cups existing in the time of Jesus, increasing the number of probabilities that led many researchers to think that it is the real cup of Jesus Christ.
Letting ourselves be carried away by probability barometers does not lead us to the true truth. Thought Cowley, what is the use of the fact that there is a high index of possibilities that a certain archaeological piece may or may not have been in the hands of Jesus Christ if that remaining number of inconveniences would always be latent that bring these possibilities down to earth? If we are not 100% sure, based on irrefutable evidence, we would be deluding ourselves if we accepted it as a real.
The Valencian researcher Ana María García assures that after her research and after exchanging various information with experts on her trip to Jerusalem, she discovered that the Holy Chalice is actually a Hebrew cup from the 1st or 2nd century before Christ, in which a stone known in ancient times as sardius, belonging to the tribe of Judah, to which Jesus Christ belonged, was used. Another of the researcher Ana María's contributions is a new reading of the inscription on the foot of the chalice, solving an encrypted message. She, based on Hebrew customs, comments that the stone vase has the precise capacity that the Jews required. What if Jesus Christ broke that rule on his own condition? The Revealed Chalice, published by a professor of design Gabriel Songel, offers us a new iconological vision through a long investigation of the chalice and the Aragonese crown. Songel claims to have found 4 new details that would take the chalice of Valencia one step closer to the glorious ladder of becoming the true Holy Grail. Those details would be as follows. First, the discovery of a design pattern for the structure that surrounds the original cup, which would point to the medieval stonemasons as the manufacturers of this structure. Second, the coincidence of the ideograms of the coin used during the reign of Sancho Ramirez in the 11th century and the shape of the chalice, which leads Songel to see a great similarity. Third, Songel points out that the message that would be found at the base of the chalice, that in Kufic Arabic puts the resplendent, must be read taking into account the hypothesis that it had been made following a grid pattern. Thus, if we use a mirror to read it, we would observe the translation of the Hebrew Yahweh Yeshua, God the Savior, Jesus is God. Fourth, and finally, Songel says that the acrostic found in the Reliquary of San Juan de la Peña, written in the 11th century on the occasion of the coronation of Pedro I of Aragon, brings forward the mention of the chalice in a document by 300 years.
Taking these books and many others into account, much of the result carried out would lead us to think that the chalice of Valencia is the favorite, occupying the highest part within the scale of chalices that dispute the long for first place that will make them the true Holy Grail. It is true that this investigation brings us closer to an introspective vision of an era in which today there are still many questions and latent gaps, and this helps us, in part, to get closer to that truth that, today, remains quite distant. Perhaps the only way we have to make sure of the authenticity of the chalice of Valencia is to invent a time machine. As that is not possible at the moment, we invite you to continue reading those magnificent books written by enthusiastic and dedicated authors such as Ana María García, Gabriel Songel, and many others, so that you can draw your own conclusions. And, of course, we invite you to share them with us. here at the Mysterious Library. See you in the next program dedicated to the opals.